What's up, everyone? Mitch Sadowsky here at Coastal Performance. We are going to talk about my favorite thing in the world, kettlebell swings. What is a kettlebell swing? A kettlebell swing is a ballistic hinge. It is not a squat with a front raise. So when we see the Insta-famous celebrity trainers trying to do this, that is not a kettlebell swing. That is something else. So we're going to talk about how to create a powerful hinge, how to groove that swing, and how to get you kettlebell swinging. So to start off, we're going to work with building the hinge. So to build the hinge, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to work on the wall first. So I'm going to make sure that my glutes are tight, my rib cage is dropped down, and I'm going to use the wall to push away. So as I push away, I want to drive my hips back. A little bit of knee forward flexion is fine, but we want to try to create this wedge in here between my femur, my spine, and my upper arm. So I'm going to push back and then drive up. And when I drive up, I want to squeeze my glutes. I don't want to arch my back forward. So press and come up. Another thing we can do is to take this to the floor, and you can use a weight for this. So this would be a tall kneeling hinge. So I'm just going to remove my lower legs. I'm going to hinge back. So now I can't squat. I've got to drive my hips back, come up, and squeeze. If we want, and you're at home, if you don't have a DVRT, or you don't have another weight, you can actually use a backpack. Just fill it full of fun stuff. So I'm going to bring this up into a front rack position and hold, and I'm going to pull my elbows back into my hips, keep my core tight, rib cage down, up, squeeze the hips. So take this standing up. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold this, bag up. I'm going to set my feet about shoulder width apart, and I'm going to pull back till I sit into that hinge, drive up, squeeze so that we're tall, and again, not leaning back. So once we've done that, I'm going to work myself off the wall. So yes, this is just patterning a deadlift first. So I'm going to work off the wall, toes maybe slightly out or straight ahead. We just don't want them flared. So here I'm going to chop my hips back towards the wall. If you feel like you're falling back, we might be a little far, so I'm going to work my feet back a little bit till I hinge and I find the wall. And right now I'm just at a position where if I had to come forward more, I'd lose my balance back, but I also didn't run out of room into the wall. So I'm going to work back and down just till I graze the wall, stand up, chop, hinge, up. Once we have that dialed in, I'm going to actually add in a weight with me. And I'm going to keep that weight between my feet. And I'm going to chop, find the bell, pack my shoulders, stand up and squeeze. And then I'm going to replace the bell the exact same way. So I'm going to hinge back, upper arm stayed glued to the ribs, set down, re-engage, up, squeeze, hinge back, same thing. So when we replace the bell onto the ground, once we're ready, the next part of the kettlebell swing is to actually get into the hike position. So if I'm starting right over the top of the bell for my deadlift, I'm going to take a step back just so I'm about an arm's length away from the bell. When I hinge, your setup is your first rep. So we want to make sure that we're not hunching to the bell first, then trying to set up. So set up like you're taking a rep. Hinge by sitting back, engage the bell. So this is a little far away from me. So instead of that, I'm just going to drag back. Now I'm set up. I have that wedge position we were talking about earlier. I just now have the bell. So I'm going to sit back, shoulders are tight, and I'm going to hike replace. Hike, replace, hike, replace. So that's grooving that hike position in terms of how we get the bell back. What I don't want is that stand up to hike. We want to stay down, hike, replace. So the next part of that is to get the hike into a ballistic movement up. And you'll start to see that the swing describes the arc of the bell, but really what I'm doing is going from a hinge to a plank position. So set up, engage the bell, and I'm going to hike, stand up. You see that bell kind of wants to drift forward, and I'm now going to replace it down, bring it out, hike, up, and lock. So I'm controlling the bell. The next part of that is to actually swing, but I'm going to work on that hinge to stand up, and I'm going to let the bell just float up about belly button height. So hinge, tilt towards you, engage the lats, hike, swing, hike, replace. Hike, swing, hike, replace. So on that second hike, I'm actively driving into the hinge to then park the bell. When you bring the bell back through, you want to imagine that you can either park or swing based on what an instructor would tell you. So I'm going to tie two swings together. Set up into the hinge position, tighten the bell, up, replace. One more time. So as I come up, I'm in a plank position. I'm going to allow the bell to float. As I'm floating, I'm resting. When the bell comes down, I want to play chicken with my hips. Let the bell come back down as far as possible. Hinge, stand up and tighten, and brace. So we want the glutes tight, we want the abs tight, we want the arms loose. So we're going to go 5 in a row here. Hinge, engage the bell, eyes go to the horizon, and we'll do 5. Notice at the top, again, lockout, glutes, quads, abs. We want to make sure that everything is nice and crisp. We're not allowing that bell to flop around. Now, not all of us are going to have a kettlebell at the house. Cool, we can adapt. So, what I'm going to do is take a dumbbell. Same concept. I'm going to start the dumbbell up. Nothing changes. A hinge is a hinge is a hinge. I'm going to start my feet in the same position. I'm going to engage the dumbbell from the side, tilt towards me, and I'm going to hike and replace. When you replace the bell, we're not collapsing down. The first rep starts on the setup. The last rep ends when the bell is safely on the ground. So I don't want to hunch over or drop the bell. I want to make sure it's safely on the ground. So there's our dumbbell swing. The last we can do with a DVRT or a sandbag. And there are a couple of different ways to do this. One is just kind of find the handle. So with this one, I actually like from this position because you're going to have to stay nice and tall in that hinge. But instead of starting this on the ground with a hike, I'm going to rock into the swing. So hinge, up. And down. And I lost my mic. So as we are swinging that bag, you can see I'm still driving the hips back. If I get too low, that bag's going to hit the ground. If I'm off on my timing, bag's going to hit the ground. So there are 3 variations you can use to help create more power through your hips, groove in your deadlift pattern, and just stay a beast. We'll see you guys soon.